Big up, everyone. Hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel. It's transfer deadline day, and we are literally an hour away from it closing. And I can't lie, I can't wait for it to be shut. It's been horrible. It ain't been nice. It's been stressful. It's been exciting. There's been tears. There's been laughter. There's been anger. There's been all the emotions of the transfer window of the summer. Just the same in January. I'm, of course, your host tonight, Dan Potts, and I'm with Lead Judges on Lead Judges TV. And we're going to discuss that transfer window, not just Arsenal's, but obviously in a whole. It's been one that's been a bit of a mad last minute, Lee, but I want to get your thoughts. Let's stick to Arsenal for now, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the other clubs and what you think of their transfer window. Of course, Chelsea will get a mention because they have been the busiest. But I want to get your perspective on things with Arsenal. It looks like a couple of days ago we were going to get Moses Caicedo from Brighton. Apparently, it seems now that he's not for sale. Jorginho was the answer last night, and it's now broken that we have signed him. I want to get your thoughts on that. And then looking back to some of the signings of the last few days, Trossard being one and Kivior being the other. We've got in a centre-back, we've got in a winger or a forward that can play across the front three, and we've got in a defensive midfielder, Lee. And let's be fair, at the start of that window, we would have said those were the positions that we potentially needed to fill. But there's been some ups, there's been some downs, there's been some mixed emotions about the signings, and I want to get where your head's at, mate.
Right. How can I say this? I don't want to be too critical about it. We wanted a midfield player in the summer. We went to the last minute to try and get Douglas Luiz. We didn't get it. And we've now gone another whole window and we still haven't got it. Now, when people say Jorginho, right, he is a direct replacement for Mohamed Elneny. If Elneny wasn't injured, right, we wouldn't have bought in Jorginho. Simple as that. But we have tried to try and get. Listen, let's be really honest here. I know like people are saying it's a shit window, whatever, like. I think that we've, how do you spell this? How do you say this Brighton's fella's name?
Caicedo.
We've put in more than a fair deal for him. I think well over the odds, 75 million. That should be enough to get him. They've chose not to sell. That's the end of it, Dan. You know what I mean? We can't do no more than that. We've put up a fair enough offer to force their hand to sell. They've not wanted to sell. My problem with that is that if they must have had some sort of indication that they might well do or not, I don't know. But we haven't got him. The chances are we're going to get him in the summer. Well, we're waiting to see on that, and we've said that about other players in the past. But, I think Brighton at the end of the day, have made themselves firm, considering they know that a player wasn't happy, he wanted to leave. I just don't know what else Arsenal could do with that, really, you know what I mean? But for me, this transfer window was about strengthening the squad. We've brought in 3, and we've lost 3. We've let Lokonga go, and we've also let Marquinhos go, and we've obviously lost Elneny, and we've replaced that with Trossard, Jorginho, and a central defender that I felt that maybe we could have, where we was probably like the most strongest, really, you know what I mean? So, listen, I think that we had a real opportunity to try and get someone. We ain't going to get like Declan Rice, and I also think we wasn't really going to get the Brighton midfield player as well, like Caicedo. We wasn't going to get him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I honestly think, Dan, if we'd have put in 100 million, I don't think they was going to sell him for whatever reason. It's up to them, isn't it? You know what I mean? But come the summer, we'll be in a different position, hopefully, like with Champions League football. That'll be different for us. But when people are going, it's a great window and all that, I'm not buying that. It was decent, you know what I mean? We brought in Trossard, not a number one target though, was he? You know what I mean? If I'll be honest, we spent most of the window looking at Madrid, we never got him. So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Trossard looks very, very good though, and I agree with that. We've replaced Trossard with say Marquinhos, which is a better thing. Marquinhos gets a little bit of a deal on there. A little bit more experience, toughen him up from the Championship. I think that's a good move. Midfield, why are we letting Lokonga go when we're short in midfield? That's a problem for me.
So before I come into it, I want to ask you a simple question: Are Arsenal stronger now than we were at the start of the season, start of the transfer window, Lee?
Stronger up front, weaker in midfield. I think that Elneny done a good job for us there, and but like Jorginho, we'd say that's fair enough. But we've let Lokonga go. Now, at the end of the day, I don't think we're strong enough to be able to compete on two fronts, and that means the Europa League or not. Like, we've got a magnificent chance of winning the Premier League then. And I think now it comes to it where Cedric to Fulham. I don't know if that ever did that go through or is still going through. At the end of the day, that's not going to weaken us or anything like that. Good luck to Cedric, but I don't think that we've come out of this window where I could say that I want us to go on two fronts. We've got a fantastic chance of winning the Premier League. All my eggs in one basket now. I'm not going to be too disappointed if we go out of the Europa League. I wasn't disappointed when we went out the FA Cup for the same reason, Dan. You know what I mean? The squad is not quite strong enough. It's as simple as that, to compete on all those fronts. That's my opinion. What are you going to do in the Europa League now? You can't. If you'd have got in a decent midfield player, your midfield could be Jorginho, a decent, say like Tielemans. So just say, put that one out there now. Europa League, we could have gone with Jorginho, Tielemans, and Vieira as our midfield three. That's pretty good. But now we're going to have to go with, say, Jorginho, say Vieira still, and Xhaka. You know what I mean? When's he going to get a break? When is he going to get a break? You know what I mean? We know that Lokonga weren't good enough. I just think that, we've left ourselves short again. And I think, when you look at it, I think the squad is still short. And when people go, is it a magnificent window, a great window? When you know that when I'm sitting here now thinking, well, we're a little bit short here, I don't think it's been successful. I will go on this, Dan, and say that sometimes exciting players ain't always the best ones. I don't think it was that exciting in the summer, if I'll be honest. But when you look at it now, after seeing Jorginho and Zinchenko the first 4 months, it's been more than exciting. So you don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. You know what I mean? There's questions as well as answers, isn't there? Do you know what I'm saying? So listen, I'm happy. Listen, do you imagine if we didn't get Jorginho through the door? You know what I mean? What would we have done then? We've got no. They've kept that very, very quiet. By the way, that Elneny injury happened over nearly 2 weeks ago. In the training ground, you know what I mean? So they've kept that quiet until today, and then announced it as soon as they knew that they got the signing over the door, or through the door, should I say? So, listen, I honestly, I don't think it's a. What if you're giving me what do I think the transfer window is? 5 out of 10, probably at the best. You know what I mean? If I'll be honest, you know what I mean? Because I don't think we've strengthened where we needed to. I think if we'd got another midfield player in, I think, it would have been a very, very good window. We would have got someone in from that point of view. But, listen, I'm not going to get too excited about the summer because you just don't know with this club. You know what I mean? I just think, listen, at the end of it, I'm not really worried about the transfer. We've got a magnificent chance of winning the title. I will say this about Arteta and Edu. I don't get all the reactions of getting rid of them and getting rid of Edu and blaming him and everything like that. We've done all right with the signings that we've got. We're going to need a little bit of luck to get over the line as far as injuries are concerned now. But you need that little bit of luck, Dan. All teams need to have it. We just hopefully won't get the injuries. If we get the injuries, then we'll look back at this January like we did last January. So I don't think we've done enough. That's my opinion.
So this is where I'm at. I felt like we needed to sign 2 or 3 players. That's what we did. We signed 2 or 3 players. The defender for me was a bonus because I didn't see that one coming. I didn't think we would get Jakub Kivior, a left-sided centre-back, highly rated 22-year-old. Let's see what he can do, right? Not going to get too excited. I'm not going to slate him either because I haven't seen him play. I think the Trossard signing is fantastic. I really like what I see. He really reminds me of an Alexander Khaleb type player that's got that real quick feet about him and that confidence on the ball. And I really like the way that he's been integrated into this side already in the 2 games that I've seen so far against 2 very good sides in Manchester United and Manchester City. So the Trossard signing, I think a lot of people will be happy with. Jorginho, it's underwhelming for me because I feel like it's yet again a player that is a downgrade on what we were hoping for. I also think, Lee, and I'm sure I'm not alone here, a lot of Arsenal fans have a little bit of PTSD when it comes to some Chelsea players. Willian, Petr Cech. We've seen the ones that haven't worked out. David Luiz. I think people then look at that and go, do you know what? This is going to be one of those. Jorginho might not be. Jorginho could come in and be an unbelievable signing. We've got to give him that chance. Haven't seen him in an Arsenal shirt yet. So I think that's the first thing to say. He could come in and be a magnificent piece of business. But when you're linked with Moses Caicedo, you're linked with one hell of a player. When it turns out that instead of the £70 million player, just like the £80 million player, you're getting a £20 million player and a £12 million player, that's enough sometimes for the Arsenal fan base to feel a little bit deflated. Because it's like we're going with an elite, potentially elite player, a 21-year-old who could be unreal by the time he's 26 in Mudryk, and a 21-year-old who could be unreal by the time he's 26 in Caicedo, to 2 players that, let's be honest, are in the last few years of their career. The only positives about them is they're both Premier League proven. They're definitely going to provide some leadership and some experience. And I think they could probably hit the ground running. So we won't have to give them a season like we needed to Pepe or a season like we need to some of the youngsters. So there's definitely positives with these deals. My thing is, Lee, why can't we sign our number 1 target? That's my biggest concern here. It's
that is it. That is it. And I think someone just said it in the chat. Come the summer, when are we going to give him his number 1 signing? And that's it. Like, I think at the end of the day, listen, we don't really know too much about what is his number 1 signing and all that. Like, look, he went for Vlahovic last season, but listen, we got Jesus, so I'm happy with that. Like, Shinchenko, fantastic, but somewhere along the line, he needs to get his number 1 targets. The Caicedo one, like, I can't. Look, we've tried, Dan. You know what I mean? Like, they must have had something in. He's put in a transfer request. When Chelsea come calling, he didn't put in a transfer request. When we come calling, he put in a transfer request. So it tells me that he wants to come to Arsenal. Like, now I think Brighton are in a real funny situation now because we've got a chance of winning the league. If Arsenal do go on and win the league, you know what I mean? He's lost out on a Premier League medal because they wouldn't play ball. And I think that, when you look at that, it's not like the Harry Kane situation when you go to Levy and say, like, well, I want to leave and all that. But, well, they're only offering like 80 million. If they offer the proper price of 100 million, you can go. I think we've been more than fair with this deal. You know what I mean? 75 million, Dan. Come on. You know what I mean? He's more, they should be doing
I agree with that.
I mean, but they haven't played ball for whatever, and it would be a little bit unfair if we don't go back in for him in the summer after, unsettling him and all that in January and making him put a transfer request. I'll be very, very disappointed in Arsenal if they don't go back in and say, look, they might have actually said to him, all right, look, we can't get you this window, but we'll make sure we get you in the next window. They actually said that to Ben White, if you remember right. They said, look, we, hold in there, we will get you. Hopefully they will do that because I think that would be terrible. The situation here is not the same with a Rafinha when we tried to get Rafinha and he said he wanted to go to Barcelona. It's not the same with the Vlahovic one when he went to say that he wanted to go to Juventus, and probably the one with Mudryk as well. Like, he, in fairness, it looked like he did want to come to Arsenal, but we couldn't. Chelsea blew us out of the water for that. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what hurts me a little bit while we're doing business with Chelsea because we've helped them out a little bit. Like, but when you think about it, 10 million rising to 2 million, like, ain't going to impact Chelsea too much, and it ain't going to impact us too much. You know
So
what I mean?
my question, Lee, is who's responsible for us not being able to get our number one targets, or what is responsible for us not being able to get the number one targets? Because my serious concern now is that we've seen it with Vlahovic, we've seen it with Mudryk, we've seen it with Rafinha, we've seen it with Caicedo. You can go as far to say that Lisandro Martinez can be thrown into there. Upamecano comes into mention. Husam Awar comes into mention. All these number one targets, whether they were going to be quality at Arsenal, and we'll never know now. Some of them could have been flops for all we know. What we do know is that they were number one targets, and we've not managed to get any of those names I've just said. So who's responsible for that, and what's responsible for it? And who's to say that in the summer, Declan Rice becomes one of those? We go in for him, and that's my concern now, because it's happening
that is
too
a concern, right? But let's take the Declan Rice one for instance. He's got 1 year left of his contract, right? Yeah, they're going to sell, all right? West Ham will look at it and say, look, you know what I mean? They would have had conversations. They're going to sell, right? Okay, right. And it's going to be £80 million. Arsenal, there's no excuses, Dan, if you can't get that. Now, if you speak to him and he turns around and says, you know, I fancy Chelsea or I fancy Manchester United, why bid? If you put in a bid in there, you must have had some sort of way to. Now, when it comes to the Declan Rice one, I don't want Arsenal putting in £60 million bids when you know he's 85 million. You put in the £85 million on the day the transfer window opens, and you get him. The same with the Caicedo one, like you get him on the same. You go in for 75 million because I'm pretty sure he's going to be unhappy out of this. I don't think he's going to be the same player. You know what I mean? Like, so you go in there and you get them as well. So I expect them two deals to be done very, very quickly. One, I expect them to be done quickly because if you don't get them done quickly, other teams can come in and sniff around them, all that, like, you know. So we'll have to wait and see. I think at the end of it, really, and I'll be really honest, the Declan Rice one, I think that they will. There's been talk already. And they've been positive on that, Dan. That the fact of the matter is, look, I think the one with what's it? How do you say it? Caicedo, right? Caicedo, right? Caicedo. Right? I'm glad I ain't got that. We ain't got him yet because it'll take me about another 6 months to learn the name, like, you know, Caicedo. The reason we haven't got him at the moment, I think, because of the Elneny injury, right? We went in a little bit earlier than what we've done, like, and I think that, you know, that's why it's come out. You know what I mean? They've tried to bluff it a little bit by the Elneny injury, kept it a little bit quiet. Tried to get in there and get, but they're not going to play ball in Jan. And you have to go a little bit with these and understand that a little bit. Brighton are right up there. Chance of top four, if I'll be honest. I don't know if they get that, but they've got a chance the way they're playing in that. A bloody good side. But they've got a great chance of getting Europa League football this season for the first time, probably in their history. I don't know if they've ever been in Europe before. If there's any Brighton fans out there, let me know. But I don't remember them being in Europe. So if they can get Caicedo, right, you ain't going to get him so much in January, Dan. You know what I mean? It's a summer move, really, but we've tried on that one, like, you know. The other thing is, do they go for somebody else like that they could have probably get, or they actually looked at it and thought, do you know what? We can get these players in the summer, we'll wait. You know what I mean? I don't actually go against that if they were to come in, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see. But if they don't come in, I'm going to be, you know, little bit annoyed. And then when people then turn around and go, oh, it's been a fantastic window when we've got our third and fourth choice targets. No, you know, there's somewhere along the line you've got to say, right, okay, I get what you're doing, but then go and get your target, like, you know. And your target in the summer is these two players from midfield, because that makes us a Champions League and a Premier League competitive side. You know what I mean? At this moment in time, we're not a competitive side on 2 or 3 fronts. Next season, we must go into the transfer window and go into the first game of the season competitive in the Champions League, the Premier League, FA Cup, and Carabao Cup. that is when I will look at it and I will go, yes, that is a fantastic window. That's an 8 to 10 out of 10 window.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've gone through 2 windows. We playing a scratch side to get through the Europa League, which we've done. You know what I mean? And struggled to get through it, if I'll be honest, Dan. If you look at it, we struggled because we played lots of different players. But now we've got a chance of really pushing on, and that's what we need to do. At the end of the day, we're in a fantastic position to win the title. So I'm not going to lose my head about players that we can't get. I'll be really honest. You know what I mean? I'm loving what I'm seeing with the Arsenal at the moment, and long may that continue.
Yeah, and I think we wanted to see ambition to win a title. I'm not so sure that we've got that now. I do think we've covered positions we needed. Whether they're going to be enough, I don't know. My biggest concern is, of course, what I've mentioned in relation to us not being able to get our number one targets. My other concern, Lee, is I look at where we're at right now, and I think we needed some quality and I think we needed some numbers. I'm not so sure that we got either. We certainly didn't get the numbers because we're at the same numbers that we were at the start of the window. In fact, we're less, I think. But when we look, or are we the same? We've signed 3, got rid of 3, so we're no stronger than we were in terms of numbers. I would say Jorginho is an upgrade on Lokonga, for me. But other than that, and Trossard is obviously an upgrade on Marquinhos. But is it enough for us to go and win a title? That's the big thing we can't answer yet. I've no idea yet. Have we got enough to go and win the title? If you add Caicedo into that mix, I honestly believe that's a really ambitious window because it gives you Party and Xhaka cover. It gets you somebody who can play across the front 3, and it gets you a left-sided centre-back. So we are only that one signing away. It's not like we've had a shambles of a window, but I'm with you in terms of it not being higher than a 6. I see some people giving it 8s out of 10 and stuff like that. I think, where is this coming from? Like 8s and 9s out of 10 of a window. I think, wow. I mean, they really, really are happy. Imagine if we do get a Caicedo, they give it a 10, it'd be unbelievable. So I think we need to be realistic about what these players are coming in to do. They're coming in my opinion, ready. I think they are. I don't know about the left centre back, but certainly Jorginho and Trossard are Premier League proven and ready. But it does frustrate me that we can't seem to get our number one targets. The other thing that frustrates me is there's 2 ways to look at this. You go for your plan A. If you can't get your plan A, you get a plan B. That's something we didn't do in January. Something this January we've learned from.
Yeah.
If we can't get plan A, we've got our plan B. The problem is, Lee, I don't think it was as hard to get plan A as what people are making out. And I'll tell you why. People will say we don't have the funds. We don't have the funds. What are we bidding for these players for then? We've got £75 million we're bidding for. Of course the funds are there. Yeah? So it's none of this, we don't have unlimited budgets. We've got a multi-billionaire owner, by the way. Yeah? So I can't sit there and say that we don't have the funds. I won't have it. I will not have that. We bid 80 million for Mudryk plus. We bid 75 million plus for Caicedo. So we definitely have the funds there. We're not trying to get Mbappe or Haaland in here, right? We're not talking about those signings. If we were, I'd be like, I love the ambition, Arsenal, but you might have to have a plan B because that ain't going to happen. We're talking about Mudryk and Caicedo. They're playing for Brighton and Shakhtar Donetsk, not Real Madrid or PSG. So that's what worries me. They're the 2 things that concern me moving forward. I actually look towards Edu and Vinay here and I scratch my head and wonder what's going on with them. The reason I say that is because I understand that Arteta is brought into the picture and apparently he was the driving force as to why we got Jorginho. Kroenke, for me, has done his job over the last couple of years. He's put his money where his mouth is. He's backed us with 500 million in close to that anyway now in the last 4 years. Arteta's done his job. He's overachieved, in my opinion, with what the side that we've got this season. I think he's done an unbelievable job. I'm looking at Edu. I'm looking at Vina. I'm looking at Richard Garlick. And I'm saying, what are you doing then? What's your role right now? Because I can give Arteta a 9, close to 10 out of 10 so far this season. Disappointed we went out the domestic cups. Frustrated with the Manchester United result. But other than that, he has more than succeeded, overachieved with what we've done. What can I rate out of 10 Edu and Vinay and Richard Garlick right now? They ain't getting very highly. So when I look at the last transfer window and I gave it a 6 or a 7 out of 10 because I thought the Jesus one lifted it to that. and Zinchenko was decent. I felt we were short. This window, I can't give it much more than that again because I feel like we're short. So if I look at the summer saying we're short, this January window saying we're short, last summer saying we're short, last January saying we're short, when am I going to say we're not short? What I've realised is Arteta wants a small squad, Lee. He doesn't want a big side. He doesn't want 20, 25 players. He's quite happy with 18. He wants that 11 and he wants a few subs on the bench and he wants to work with a small side. And I think we're seeing proof of that now. He's definitely looked, in my opinion, at both of those competitions, domestic cup-wise, and gone, I don't think we're going to be able to compete on all four fronts here. I'm going to rotate, and if we go out, we go out. I'm going to rotate in the Europa League games because we have an unbelievable chance of winning the league. Now, that's fine if you go and win the league, but if you put yourself out of all the competitions, don't strengthen in January, don't add 2 or 3 players that we clearly need, in my opinion, and then you don't go and win the league, people will then start to question it. Now, of course, there'll be a section of the fan base, Lee, that will say, doesn't matter, top 4, we're in. That's the aim. But like we said last season when top 6 was the aim, you're going to be disappointed if you fall short on top 4. You're going to be disappointed this season if you fall short of winning the title. I'm sorry. I have to be honest. I can't sit there and pop champagne when we lose out to Man City in this season if we come second. That's just the way I am. So I'm looking now at why that might happen. And there's some of the reasons why I think we might be short. I think we've got
and
a short squad.
I totally agree with that. Like, and listen, it's all about opinions, isn't it? Like, you know, I mean, if someone wants to give it an 8 out of 10 transfer window, that's fine. If they want to give it a 3 out of 10, that's fine. You know what I mean? How I see it is that I don't, you know, if we'd have, at the beginning of the season, Dan, if we'd have brought in a midfield player and an 80 million pound midfield player, just for instance, and I would have been happy with us challenging for the title. Not saying that we was going to win the title. I said, yeah, we're happy. I'm happy. Look, we're challenging for the title. We're challenging for the title with a team and a place that I didn't think that we would ever be at. Like, you know what I mean? I think we've been fantastic. I thought we was fantastic at City on Friday night with players not what you would say is their first team. 6 players changed. So at the end of it, what I will be happy is if Arsenal challenge for the title. Now, we could actually sign a £60 million. We could actually have signed Caicedo and ended up still not winning the title. We don't 100%. Know. We don't know that, like, you know what I mean. But what we can ask for, the only thing I've ever asked for all these years of mediocrity, if I'll be honest, is for us to challenge for the title. So that's what we've got now. We've got a challenge to the title. We're going to need a little bit of luck to win this title, but we've got
everyone does, though. Everyone does.
Everybody does. Of course they do. And we've got a very, very good chance of it. After coming away from City on Friday night, I feel more confident that we can win the title than not. Absolutely. And that was before the transfer window finished.
Absolutely.
Shut. I will say this, when people turn around and say, oh, like, you know, you've got to give Mikel the time and everything like that. Exactly that. They've done exceptionally well. And that's what it is now. It's for our job now to back the team and see what happens. I know, forgetting about this transfer window, I'm excited about Saturday. I'm excited about the following Saturday when we play Brentford, and more excited than when we play Man City. And that's what I'm going to focus on. Like, if we don't win the league, I don't think it'd be down to not bringing in certain players. What it will be down to is luck. It will be luck. If Thomas Partey doesn't get injured and plays the next 19 games, Dan, we win the league. It's as simple as that. We win the league, like, you know what I mean?
I'll go with that.
You know that you see the drop off on Friday
against City.
And I think so. Looking at it, I think Lokonga needs to get a loan. Whether Lokonga now gets a loan and that makes him to be the player that we need him to be, I very much doubt it. You know what I mean? I think that what we need to do is to get him out on loan now, and that funds a Declan Rice and a Caicedo deal as well. Like, you know what I mean? That's how I see it. That's how I see it.
Fair play, man. Fair play.
we've got to be a little bit ruthless. We've got to get some funds coming in to sign these players. You know what I mean? Like I think if we can get some money back on certain things that we can do that. We might have to actually sell a Balogun as well, or an Eddie for Balogun coming back into the squad and he being sold for a lot of money to fund the midfield deals that we need. We need to bring in 2 midfield players. I'll tell you why we need to bring in 2 midfield players, because we're short in that area it is. But Thomas Partey and Xhaka, who have been fantastic and still got a couple of years left in them, but that's
And
all
now
they've got.
Jorginho. All
And
three of them.
Jorginho, they've only got a couple of years left in them. If you look at the way we play now, if you look the energy and everything like that, it's a young man's game in that midfield, So why I like the experience, why I like that there, you still got to have legs in that midfield, and we need to address that, So that's the thing there. For me, we've still got a very, very good 11. I think if you look at it, Dan, we've got a little bit more strength, in the mid on the bench. If everybody's fit, I know that's again what we're saying in luck. Let's look at the bench, what it could be. Trossard, Eddie, Smith Rowe, Jorginho, Vieira, look, Tierney, Tomiyasu, Rob Holding. That's not a bad bench, Dan.
Well, it's
That's
better
a
than it
little bit
was.
better than what I was seeing this time last season. 4 kids that I've never heard of. So from that point of view, I look at it and think that isn't too bad. So you're only as good as your weakest link, and our weakest link at this moment in time is our bench, or it has been. Even last season, last season, even before the transfer window started, there was always a kid on there, weren't there?
Do
you know what I mean?
100.
Or even
Cozy
Marquinhos,
Dubry
we know he's not
or
ready.
Matt Smith or whatever.
Yeah,
Matt Smith, bless
yeah.
him. I
They're
see him
not going
warming
to
up
be
every single game. Matt Smith
Yeah.
on the side.
And that's nothing against them. That's nothing
Nah.
against them. But now you've got Tomiyasu, Japan international, Tierney, Scottish international, Jorginho, an Italian international, Vieira, Portuguese under 21 international, will be an international at some sort of stage. Eddie under 21, if he carries on going, he'll be in the England squad. All of a sudden, Trossard, Belgium international. All of a sudden, it's a little bit better. Smith Rowe, England international, is a little bit better. So from that point of view, it's a plus. But listen, every Arsenal fan can be a little bit disappointed about the window if they want to be, because it's because, it doesn't matter where we are in the league. You know what I mean? Everybody's delighted where we are in the league.
Oh, that's not in question. Yeah,
it's not in question. But when the chance for window ain't quite as good as what we've been promised a £70 million player, and it hasn't happened. Well, not promised, but the bid's
you
gone
get
in.
up for it, though, don't you?
You
I'm with
get
you.
excited about it,
and
and at the end of the day, we've been let down by it because we haven't got it. That's not no one's fault. It's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't the only ones been let down in the transfer window. So I think that we can feel a little bit disappointed, upset, maybe not. I don't think it's all as a shambles as what everybody's looking at it. But we go into the second part of the season needing a little bit of luck, Dan. That's all I'm saying. We could have maybe not had that luck, but we've got a great chance of winning this league, and let's not forget that.
Yeah, listen, let's not forget that we have an unbelievable chance of winning the league, and facts, absolutely facts, what you're saying. Let's talk about some of the players then, Lee, because there has been some that we need to mention. The last part of the stream, obviously, big up Christian, by the way. No disappointment here. All backup players who can take pressure off the preferred 11. And I think when you run through that bench, Lee, already, I looked at the Europa League bench at the start of the season and thought, wow, it ain't going to be that now. So that's what's good. Obviously, injuries can play a part on that, but you're right with that, what you're saying there. Let's talk about Jorginho. I want to get your thoughts on the player, and I want to get your thoughts on what you think he can do for Arsenal. I saw the stats comparing him to Thomas Partey, and you can see why Arteta's looked at him. You can see why Arteta's liked him. He's very, very similar in terms of those statistics. I would disagree that he's a similar player. I do agree he plays in the right position as him, but he definitely slows the pace of the game down. He's a player that Chelsea have always said Oh, every pass is backwards. Every single pass is never forwards. He's always slowing it down, taking it back. Takes a good penalty, by the way. Does an annoying little jump, but always puts it in. So, what's your thoughts on this player, mate? Why do you think Arsenal
Right.
fans would question it, and why do you think Arsenal fans would be happy?
What are we doing here? We saying that he's a a backup for Thomas
I
Partey,
think
or
he
is
is
he,
back up for Party. Yeah,
and he's replaced Elneny. What does Elneny do when he comes to the game? Like, what I mean, he
fair.
does that. I mean, not quite as good as Partey, but does a job. He done a job for us at Chelsea last season. I remember. I thought he had a very, very good end of the season last season. Like, whenever he comes in. I'll be honest, whenever Elneny comes into the Arsenal side, does he let the team down? Never. Is his attitude spot on? Yes, 100%. For me, is Jorginho going to be the same sort of player that's going to have to bide his time when he comes in, does the business? He's got experience. But listen, Jorginho, from his point of view, let's just have a look at it from here. He's gone from a squad player at Chelsea at 10th in the league to a squad player now that's chasing the championship. So, if that's not going to give him a little bit of an inspiration, I don't know what is. So when I look at it, it's not a replacement. It's not a Caicedo replacement or somebody like that. He's come in to replace Elneny because Elneny is injured. So for me, yesterday, everybody's losing their stuff about it, me including. I thought, I don't really want him. I actually said, I'd rather not get him. But once I realised that Elneny was out for the season, I think it's a no-brainer. I think it'd be a good deal for us, you know what I mean? But I'm going to be really honest. I'll be honest with you, Dan. If Elneny was fit and available, I wouldn't want him. I wouldn't want him. And I don't think Arsenal would have gone for him. That's my opinion. But the reason it is because Elneny is injured. So from that point of view, you've got to look at it and think it's a good little move squad-wise. But for me, Elneny does a good job for us. And unfortunately, he's gone down and injured and out for the season. So that's how I look at it. But he's certainly not going to... Jorginho is not going to be here in a couple of years. He's just here for a short-term thing. And that's how you've got to look at it. And that's how I'm looking at it. I'm going to have... Can I say it? I'm going to have no... What's the word? Affection for him.
Yep.
But he's an Arsenal player, so I'll back him. But he's not going to. I'm certainly not going to be running to the shop tomorrow and getting.
Not going to be one
20.
of your favourites. Yeah, not going to be one of your favourites.
No, he's certainly not.
Fair. That's fair, mate. And
he's not going to be.
I think like on an 18-month loan, on an 18-month deal. Sorry, we understand what he is. He's not one for the future. He's one to help us out now. That's what he's going to have to come and do. It's what we need. We need to go for a title. And I think the one thing that I will say is that Mikel Arteta and Edu together have got some wrong. They have. I can't sit here and say that everything they've done is perfect, like some people say. They've got some wrong, but they have also got some right. And when you look at the signings they've both made together, they're ones that have got wrong, they've cleared out the club. So it's not like we've kept hold of them and tried to be loyal with them. Like Wenger used to keep hold of players for years. He will come good. Then Nilsson, he will come good. He will come good. No, he's never going to. Almunia, he will be my number one. Get rid of him. I think with Runarsson, they got it wrong. At Pablo Marie, at Cedric, done a job, but he's now gone. Lokonga, no, last chance, gone, loan. Tavares, not working. Nuno Tavares, gone. Danny Ceballos, not working. Willian, gone. They're all the ones that went wrong, right? The ones that have actually got right, they've stuck with them and they've actually put them in this first team. Now, Jorginho, for whatever reason, is somebody that Mikel Arteta admires. 2 years ago, we all thought it was a smokescreen and it's looked like it was for Thomas Partey coming in. Then all of a sudden, Jorginho is now on the radar again and he's come in. So it's clearly a player that Mikel Arteta likes. So it could be that Mikel Arteta turns him and works a bit of a magic into him. And we're all sitting there going, wow, we all laughed at this signing, but actually he's just what we needed. So it's really importantly to do what we did with Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Ben White. All of us doubted him. Ben White, 50 million, you're joking. Hadn't kicked a ball yet, been brilliant. Ramsdale, relegation, 25 million, you're kidding, been superb. Tomiyasu, never bloody heard of this lad, 12 million, you're joking, been brilliant. We got to do the same with Jorginho, mate. We can't just slate him and go, what a load of crap he's going to be. We got to give him this chance, haven't we now?
100%. And the other thing is, Dan, you know what I mean? Like people are going, oh, why don't we get Tillemans? Because Tillemans is not going to play the role that he plays. He is come in as a backup to Thomas Partey. Now, at the end of the day, it ain't a bad backup for Thomas Partey. 10 million, Premiership proven, a winner. He knows what it's like to win. Brilliant in the Euros, by the way, for Italy. You know what I mean? Like, so he will come in and do a job for us at certain parts of the season. You know, someone just put on there, when you cheer him if he scores a 90th minute penalty. Like, well, hopefully he won't be that, because that means Saka's not on the pitch. Let's not forget we've got a good penalty taker in Saka. You know, listen, he's here to do a job for Arsenal to get us over the line. Will I be honest? We've all got players in, you know, Arsenal Football Club that are not your favourites, but you still
100%.
like them. You know, I've had bloody like 10 years of like having players like that. But when I look at this team now, every one of them I really, really like. I like them all. You know what I mean? Trossard's come in and impressed me, Dan. Like the
Yeah,
couple of games that
same.
he's played, he's come in and I thought, oh yeah, I like him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the Polish central defender is going to be like. I'm hoping that he's going to be really, really good. But when you think about it, Gabriel's come in, £27 million. Not many people had heard of him. Brilliant for us. You know what I mean? Like, everything, you know. So for me, look, it's not a glamorous signing. It's not one that we're all excited about. Listen, I'm not going to be, as I said, and I'll say it again, it's not the signing I'm going to be running around down to the Emirates tomorrow and putting number 20 on my back. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that sort of signing, but it's a signing that we needed. And sometimes exciting signings are not what you need. Was Ramsdale an exciting signing? Was Tommy Asu an exciting signing? When was the last time Arsenal had an exciting signing? Partey? Some people will
Yeah,
say Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, maybe not. Look how that's turned out. I'll tell you what, I wasn't that excited about Jesus. I'll be honest, like, really.
I must admit, it was a player that a lot of people said, wow. And some people said, well, we can't get into Man City's first
Yeah,
team, so don't want him.
I
So,
looked at it and it wasn't
yeah.
an exciting one. But I tell you what, Dan, once I see him play, I was excited.
Mm.
Now I look at it, Shinchenko, another one where, you know, well, you know what I mean? You
Yeah, he's
can't
been
really get in.
superb.
Been superb. You know what I mean?
And I
Trossard's
do
come in,
think on
not an
that, Lee,
exciting
just quickly, I do think actually you're right. If you think back, the last exciting signing is actually a while ago. And do you know why? It's because this is a different type of transfer window that we're seeing each time
Yeah.
now. We're not seeing star, 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 star. We're seeing players that are good signings, not unreal exciting signings, not uplifting ones. Like I remember being excited for Aubameyang. I remember being excited for Arshavi.
Yes.
Do you remember
Yeah,
being
yeah,
excited for like
yeah,
Ozil, being excited for Sanchez? We've got to go
yeah.
back to the Wenger days when we were getting that excited. So for me, there hasn't really been any wow. It's just been they're decent, they're decent, they're
Decent, yeah.
decent.
And that's
And
what
we're
you
looking
need.
at stars coming from that. So it's a different feeling.
Exactly that. And I'm with you on that. Like that's the thing, you know. They've all been decent size. Sometimes we have, Dan, I'll be really honest with you. It's very, very hard at this moment in time to improve on our starting 11. Right?
Facts.
If you look at it, like what you know, it is going to
There ain't
take.
one, is there really?
There ain't, you know, you're talking a Declan Rice maybe to
Mm.
out Party or Shaka.
Shaka.
That's
Yeah.
very, very. So when you're in that position, when you're starting 11 is really, really good, you need to bring in backup players, and that's what we've done. I remember in the 2004, you know, like the Invincible season, like come to January, we signed Reyes,
Mm.
and you know, no one was going, well, where's he going to play? Whatever he's going to do. We had
No.
Perez and Lundberg then, like, but what he done was he give us a little bit extra to get us over the line. Trossard might be that person, like, you know what I mean? But we had a very, very good squad of players that
Great
have
point.
brought in over a time. You know what I mean? So I think at the end of the day, it's all about getting squad players at the moment. They're not going to be exciting, but Jorginho is a good squad player to have in there. Like, you know, Trossard is a good squad player to come in there. I don't really know about the Polish player at this moment in time. So we've done what we needed to do. We've got in a little bit more strength in on the bench. But it is very, very difficult to improve on this 11. And to improve on this 11 in the summer, it's going to take big, big money to get someone like a Rice, someone like that. What we're going to need to do that in the summer. Because what we've got then, Dan, is we've not got, at the beginning of the season, 6 games which we can play a squad. When we go into the Champions League, and that's what we're looking for, every game's competitive. You know what I mean? Like the Europa League's not in the early stages. So we need to strengthen the squad. So we've got going into the squad next season, Xhaka, Partey, Caicedo and Rice, that can compete on both levels.
Agreed,
That's
mate.
what we're going to have to do.
Agree with you, mate. 100% I do. Let's touch on some of the players that have left the club. Marquinhos, Cedric, and Lukonga all look to have been leaving or have left. Most of them on loan, well, all of them on loan, in fact. I think good move for Marquinhos. I think he could have a
Yeah,
real good impact at Norwich. I think it's a good move. It'll bulk him up a bit. It'll get him used to being kicked about. It's a good league, that Championship. I do actually like the player. I think there's a lot of good things about him, and I don't think he's quite ready for the first team. So I wanted to get your opinions on that one. Lukonga to Palace. I think Vieira can try and toughen him up and see what sort of midfielder that he thinks he is and see if he's got a long-term future at Arsenal or not, because it looks quite doubtful at the moment. And Cedric's not really been used for Arsenal this season, so it
no.
doesn't really massively affect us. So wanted to get your thoughts on those 3, mate.
Yeah, like listen, Marquinhos needed a loan. We know that he's probably come in because we was light in that area early on. Done okay for us now, but this is the time for him to shine. Norwich flying at the moment, by the way, since their new manager's come in. Like good club, Norwich as well. Played the right way.
Is
That'd
it
be a very,
David
very
Wagner now, isn't it? David
yeah,
Wagner's come
yeah,
in,
yeah.
or
He's
Wagner.
come in there. So very, very good set up there for him to shine. Yeah, I think he needs that for his development. Lukonga, I think, needed this loan at Palace. Needs it. He's going to learn off the best midfield player in the Premier League history, in my opinion, in Patrick Vieira. If you can't learn off of him, then you're not. I know, like you can say, "Oh, Arteta's a good coach" and all that. You know what I mean? But the fundamentals of the game that he needs is what Vieira had all over the place. So, like, look, listen and learn off of him. Get some game time in the Premier League, and try and resurrect your career. Like, you know what I mean? If he can get a run of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games, let's see where he is. You know what I mean? Like, look, it doesn't always work out. Like, Conor Gallagher looked like a superstar for Palace. Like, it hasn't quite happened for him since he's gone back to Chelsea. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But he needed that. He needed that. Like, you know what I mean? So let's hope that be all right. There, Cedric, done okay for us. You know what I mean? But we've gone up a level now. We've gone up a level. You know what I mean? And he doesn't. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, his third choice left back or right back. We can do without that. But thanks for his service. He's been a good professional for us. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm afraid that's one of Mikel Neddu's, shall we say, like, if I'll be honest, like,
No, fair play, man. Big up, Ronnie. I hope you're well, bruv. He says he's joined us late. Beg pardon for ignorance if you discussed this previously this show, but we can't be happy, lads. I'll be happy with only 3 centre midfielders going into the last 19 games. I know we touched on this, but I think it's important to bring this up lastly, Lee, because we are going into this last half of the season, let's say, with Jorginho, Partey, and Xhaka. Is that going to be enough?
Well, yeah, because I think that Ben White can play there as a holding midfield player if needed to be. But I also think that you've got to look at this and go, right, we brought in Trossard. Where is Smith Rowe going to play? Where is he going to play? Not going to play like, Nelson, don't forget, has got to come back on the right-hand side. That's the sort of right, but Saka's going to play majority of the games. So you've got Nelson backing it up on the right-hand side. Smith Rowe can play as a deep lying midfield player, you know what I mean? Like, and maybe could suit him this position because, the way that we are with the strength of it all now, like, so listen, Smith Rowe's not going to get in on the left-hand side now because, you've got why buy Trossard, you know what I mean? So I think that Smith Rowe will come in there and add that as a quarter. And I think, if I'm going to be really honest with you here, that Smith Rowe will do a better job than Lukonga.
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to slightly disagree. I think it's really cutting it short having three of them in there. I think if you're
Not
going to
ideal.
no, it's not ideal. I do think if you're going to have an option in the middle, Zinchenko can cover for Chaka, Party and
Great point.
Jorginho.
Yeah.
Party and Jorginho will have to play that deep line role when if Party was out. Obviously, Jorginho would come in. But I do think we may be one short. Lokonga has gone, Elneny's out, so of course we're now short again. So that would be my frustration in this window is that we didn't get that midfield covered,
Yeah.
and we are allowing Lokonga to go out without a replacement. It's similar, I suppose, in a way to letting Aubameyang go out and not replacing him, or letting Pepe go out and not replacing him. So for me, yeah, I can understand the fans' frustration with that. We got to pray and hope, like you said, that Party doesn't get injured. Because if Party gets an ACL, Lee, well, none of us are going, oh, thank God we got Jorginho. It's nothing to worry about. We're all good. We're still going to worry. We're still going to go, oh, crikey, is Jorginho going to be what Party is for us? Because we need him to be. And that's going to be the big question mark. And he's got the chance now to prove him right. I wanted to ask just quickly, Lee, before we come to a kind of close. We're kind of moving away from the transfer window now. I'm quite glad, if I'm honest with you. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to it shutting, and then we can concentrate
Yeah.
on what is more important. We've got a February coming up, which, let's be honest, on paper, is not. It's never kind, but it's not harsh considering what we've just been through. We've got Everton away, different kettle of fish under Sean Dyche. I understand that new manager bounce, but I fancy your chances going into that one. We did really well against Brentford away. We've got them at home. Then it's the big one against Manchester City, followed by Villa and Leicester. What's your thoughts on this month for February coming up, Lee?
I think this is the next two games are pivotal. I've said that before, but we're expected to get 6 points from these games. But I'm telling you this now: Everton's going to be tough. If we don't get an early goal against them, I think we're going to be in for a real difficult time. Need to take our chances early. Need to be up in front of them very, 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 very early. Put them under a bit of pressure. The Brentford game, that's going to be difficult, but listen, if we can get the 6 points from those two games, then, oh my God, the 15th of February is going to be, there ain't just going to be like fireworks on the 14th. There'll be fireworks banging away on the old 15th as well, because that is going to be a cracker. The atmosphere will be electric if we can get the 6 points in the next two games. That place will be lit. It will be rocking. And if we can get the win then, oh my God. Oh my God. If we can pick up 9 points from these next three games, Dan, well,
we're in for a treat, aren't we?
We are in for a treat. We are in for a unbelievable treat that we can do that. And I can tell you this now, I went up to Manchester at the weekend on the Friday. I come away from Manchester, even though we got beaten, more confident that we can beat this Manchester City side. And I can tell you this now, their fans are a little bit worried as well, because I spoke to a few of them, you know what I mean? And it was a good conversation I had with one of them. I didn't think you was that good. And that was not our main team. That's how good we were on the night. For 45 minutes, with lots of changes, we went toe-to-toe with Man City. We've gone toe-to-toe with Man City in the last two games now. And I mean toe-to-toe. We've actually come out just losing by the odd goal. But I've seen us defend and not have the ball for 20, 30 minutes in games like, you know what I mean? We had them on the back foot by playing our way. So I'm more than confident that we can do that, going there, I'm really, really up for it, and listen, on the 15th, let's put them away. Let's put them away. Let's put them to bed. Let's tuck them in and say thank you for the title race. You go and look and concentrate on the Champions League now, because it's ours. And we're here and we want it. We need to show this lot that we're here for the long haul. And I believe that we can do. But it all starts with the Everton game on Saturday morning. We need to win that game and then need to beat Brentford. And who knows? Manchester City might have slipped up by then as well. Do you imagine if Tottenham do us a favour? we could be into double digits if we beat them. Like, you know what I mean?
With a game in
Incredible.
hand.
With a
Crazy.
game in hand.
Absolute
Incredible.
crazy. We can
Absolutely
start a
incredible.
dream then, I'll tell you that now.
Well,
Start
start
a
to
dream
dream
then.
then. Start to dream
Wow.
then. Like,
Even
you
if
know,
we
that-
can't already. If we can't already.
Well, massive, massive.
Absolutely huge, man. Absolutely huge. Just lastly, Lee, just to have a bit of a laugh. Tottenham have signed a right back, but they've had to terminate their right back, Matt
That's
Doherty. I mean,
unbelievable. Have
what
you
a
ever
circus
known
of a club.
anything like the gift that keeps on giving? Tottenham Hotspur, they've had to like do that. Like they've had to cancel the registration of Doherty so that they could get their one over the line. You know what I mean? So, what a shambles of a football club! What a
It's
shambles!
hilarious, mate. Imagine supporting them. Hilarious. Listen, guys, do us a favor. Make sure you smash a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. Make sure you let everybody know. Myself and Lee will be back. But I won't be back. I'm going on holiday on Friday.
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm
you're
looking forward to it. So it'll
yeah.
be Lee and Dave and the guys running the channel in my absence, of course. So they'll be providing you content, and I'll be back on the 22nd of Feb for more. If you do fancy coming and following me, I'm going to be live literally in any second now over on my channel. Links in the description. All you need to do is click on it and come and follow me over there. We're talking all transfer dealings, seeing as they've just shut now. It's over on Football's 12th Man podcast. Please make sure you come and join me. Lee, absolute legend, man.
Pleasure. Have a fantastic holiday, Dan. Don't get too
mate.
brown, will you?
Oh, listen, I don't go brown. Look at this. Look at this, mate. I don't go brown. I'm not like you, mate. I won't be looking like an extra from Benidorm when I come back. Trust me, mate. That's for sure. But I will enjoy it, mate. And so will my family I'm going with. So I'm really looking forward to it, mate. And I shall be trying to... there's not much Wi-Fi where I'm going, mate. So it's going to be very difficult for me to get into what's happening with Arsenal. So I might be dropping you a line, Lee, and asking you to keep me posted.
No worries. More than welcome to do that, like, you know.
Top man. I'm sure I'll be getting the Wi-Fi somehow. But take care of yourself, people. I hope you all enjoy the content, and try not to be too down about the transfer window. Let's forget about it now. We've got what we got. Arsenal are back at the weekend, and that's all that matters. We'll see you next time. Take it easy and up the Arsenal.